Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. Just want to take a few minutes to talk about relationships, especially God-ordained relationships, and why it is important to not interfere with those relationships. Whether it is interference in terms of trying to prevent two people from being brought together, or from trying to tear them apart. Some relationships may seem unconventional on the surface, but when the Lord ordains them, please stay away. Stay away. One such relationship is in Judges 14 with Samson. We know about Samson and Delilah. However, there was a woman before her, and it's covered in Judges 14, and I'll just read 1 through 4. And Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the Philistines, or the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore, get her for me to wife. I know, very romantic. Then his father and mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou dost go take a wife of uncircumcised Philistines? So with Samson, an Israelite, having desires for a Philistine, it just seems so ungodly. But was it? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. I guess a man knows what he wants. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord. I say that again. His father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he, the Lord, sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at the time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So his parents didn't understand why Samson wanted to marry the Philistines, but that desire was in his heart because the Lord had ordained it as a means to start war with the Philistines. You can read Judges 14 to see how that story unfolded, but I'll just say that union changed Samson and turned him into a warrior that we know of today. Then there's another seemingly unconventional union. Of all the women in Israel, the Lord chose a woman from Moab, Ruth, to marry Boaz. And I can imagine that despite Ruth's qualities, because the Bible mentions about her being a virtuous woman, and it talks about all the things, especially in Ruth chapter 1, that she did to stand by her mother-in-law, Naomi. But despite her qualities, I'm pretty certain that a lot of Israelites saw her as someone from Moab, people who worshipped other gods. However, Ruth had given her life to the Lord. And this relationship ended, in a sense, a little bit better. Actually, it ended a lot better, because Ruth and Boaz got married, had a child named Obed, who later had a child named Jesse, and Jesse is the father of David, king of Israel. All of those individuals I mentioned are in the genealogy of Christ. And also a little bit of trivia. Boaz is a descendant of Abraham. Ruth is a descendant of Abraham's nephew Lot. Lot's eldest son in Genesis 19, his name is Moab, the father of the Moabites. The Lord hasn't revealed anything significant to me regarding that relationship or why Moab maybe need to be united with Israel. I'm not sure, but we just never know the Lord's big picture plan for bringing two people together. A lot of times, why people interfere with the relationships is because of what they see. And usually, they don't take time to look at a person's inside, a person's virtues, to see why the Lord may want to bring two people together. And even though the Lord wasn't speaking about relationships, in this instance I'm about to give, it demonstrates that the Lord does not look at things that people usually look at. And it's in 1 Samuel 16, 6 through 7. And to set the story a little bit, this was when the Lord sent Samuel the seer to the house of Jesse to anoint one of his sons as Israel's next king. And again, verses 6 through 7. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked at Eliab and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not at his countenance, or the height of his stature, because I have refused him. I'll pause for a second. The Lord said, do not look at his countenance or his height. There's so many times I know women disqualify themselves from truly finding love because they have a height requirement. In some cases, a woman may be 5 feet 5 inches tall, and she doesn't want to be with anyone who is less than 6 feet 4 inches tall. But it continues, For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh at the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. That does not mean the Lord does not care about outward appearance. In the book of Genesis, it mentions about Sarah, Abraham's wife, being so attractive that in Genesis 12, the Pharaoh of Egypt took her when she was more than 50 years old into his harem to be his wife. And later, the king Abimelech, the king of Gerar, took Sarah, Abraham's wife again, to be his wife, even though she was well in years. So she was an attractive woman. And the same thing goes, the Lord had brought Isaac and Rebekah together. And Isaac almost lost Rebekah for a while in a similar circumstance as Abraham did. So it's not that the Lord does not care about outward appearance, but overall, it's about the heart. So we just never know, and we can't make assumptions based on external factors, especially external factors alone. And I have to mention something about interfering with relationships, because I've actually seen servants of God, ministers, who have interfered with relationships that the Lord has ordained. And that can be a very dangerous thing. And I'll share to you what I think is one of the scariest scriptures in the entire Bible, especially for me, because I'm calling on the Lord. I'm a servant of God, and I would hate for him to use these words to me. And it's from Matthew 7:21 through 23. And Jesus said, Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. I'll pause for a second. Doing the Father's will. So for example, if a minister is serving the Lord, probably giving sermons every week, and then interfering with a relationship that the Lord has ordained, then that minister is not doing the will of the Lord. And that minister may find him or herself in jeopardy of hearing these words from the Lord, simply because of blocking or trying to tear a relationship apart. But it continues, Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Again, I find those words very scary. Now, sometimes when people try to prevent or tear apart relationships, it is because of a very sinister motive. In some cases, it is because of personal prejudices. And these prejudices are coming from people who profess to love God. However, turning to 1 John 4, 19 through 21, it states, We love him, God, because he first loved us. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. I'll say that again. If a man or woman say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God, whom he hath not seen? And this commandment we have from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also. So again, in some cases, people, Christians, try to prevent relationships because of hatred that they have, in some cases, to a fellow believer. That ought not to be so. So again, especially if you know that a relationship is of the Lord, if he ordained it, please, for the love of God and possibly for your salvation, do not interfere with that relationship. Do not interfere with a God-ordained relationship.